Hi, everyone. It's Monica Poling. Welcome to the inaugural episode of my new podcast, Hop on My Rocket, where I serve up tips on branding, marketing, and the art of making a little noise. As a business owner, our most important job is to drive awareness for our products and services. We need to speak up. We need to get heard. We need to tell people, this is my rocket, and here's why you should jump on and enjoy the ride. So in this first episode, we're going to talk about superpowers. What's your superpower? How to define it, and how that makes the basis of a great brand statement. Before we dive too far into your superpower, we're going to take a step back and talk about what is branding. You've probably heard it defined a dozen different ways. It's an identity, it's a reputation, and really what it is a perception that people have of you and your business. And branding, for me, starts with two core elements. Number one is your brand statement. This is going to be your unique selling proposition, or your USP. It's going to talk about what you do and why you do it differently than anyone else. It's going to set you apart. It's going to establish your expertise, and it's going to establish why you're different or better than your competitors. The second part of branding is building a brand strategy, and then that's where people talk about your identity and your perception. For me, your brand strategy is just about building a body of evidence that supports, it proves your brand statement. So if you say, I am the best athlete in the whole wide world, now you're going to have a body of evidence that proves that, so people believe you. And then marketing is related, obviously, to both those things, but marketing is the messaging that you shoot out that talks about both buying a product and service in the now, but establishing your reputation in the long term as the best athlete, the best car salesman, the best baker in all the land. So the point of building a brand statement is that it allows you to define your brand. Otherwise, everyone has a brand. You think of people and business people in a certain way. If they don't tell you what to think, if they don't control the narrative, as they say in politics, they will think things about you based on silent cues. So you, as a business owner, are compelled to create that brand statement so people already have an indication of what they should know about you, what they should believe about you. The thing is that every person, every business already has a brand. We already know our friends, our families, our colleagues as people who do certain things. They might be the person who wears Burberry. They might be the person who only wears name brands. They might be the person who collects Lego. Everybody has a brand, a reputation already. But in business, if you don't establish a brand and tell people this is what you should know about me, think about me, this is how you should talk about me, they're going to form their own impressions based on their own filters and people cutting them off on the freeways, whatever their personal things are they're going through. That's how they're going to define your brand, which is why you want to give people clues about what you are and what you do so that they start from that place, that they know what you are. And that's why it's nice to think of your brand as a superhero or superpower, because your brand is something extra, it's something special, it's unique. And so you want to give it the same power as if a superhero were actually talking about himself. I leap over tall buildings in a single bound. I have my spidey sense. I'll give you an example. One of my favorite business idols, Mark Cuban, right? You might say, if you Google Mark Cuban, you might hear entrepreneur, former basketball team owner, Shark Tank impresario. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to define Mark Cuban. For me, Mark Cuban's superpower is his Midas touch. I mean, he just has this ability to see growth and opportunity wherever he looks, or see where things might not have growth or opportunity. So his superpower is really that being able to identify that opportunity and figure out a way to increase that, make money from it, whether that's products on Shark Tank, whether it's the things he's working with. And so that would be his superpower. It wouldn't really be that he's a businessman or even that he's a basketball team owner. Those things, there are many, many people. That is not a superpower in and of itself. His superpower is that connectivity that he has to see an idea and turn it into a profitable path. So when you're talking about branding, your messaging, your marketing messaging, that's going to change based on trends, based on seasons. You might have a different marketing message for back to school. You might have a different marketing message for the holidays. You might have a different marketing message depending on where a particular product or service is necessary. Your brand, however, is consistently going to support that marketing message no matter how much the message changes. So Mark Cuban might be talking about one day a Shark Tank winner that he liked working with, and next day he might be talking about the basketball team. In either case, The message may have changed, but the brand in the background that he's got the Midas touch, that's going to remain the same no matter what. And there's that element of whenever you do a marketing campaign, you want to make sure that your brand is somehow emblazoned into that marketing campaign. You want to make that one defining thing be a part of all your marketing messaging. And the reason for that is consistency and repetition. I mean, the more people see you, the more they hear from you, the more regularly they understand that you're aligned with a thing, the more likely they are to notice you and to remember you. And that's quite important. And I like to tell people that it's better to have one message that you repeat 20 times rather than 20 messages that you've done one time. So if people are seeing you online on the internet, if you're just constantly changing your message but having no supporting brand, no supporting alignment or body of evidence that says, I am the best at this and that's why you should listen to me. And if you're just doing 20 different posts that aren't related and they don't bring your brand together, it's much harder for you to build a consistent following because people get confused. They don't remember you. They get distracted by the 49 other social media posts that they also saw the same time, the same place. So when you are starting to build a brand and a brand statement, the first thing you want to think about is what do you want to be known for? And it's not just, I do LinkedIn posts, I consult, I'm a coach, I'm a wellness expert. It is, I want to be known for this thing that I am really amazing at and no one around is going to be better than me. And so when you are building your brand statement, the first thing you want to do is start considering what you want to be known for. Is it your ability to connect with people? Is it your ability to teach people something in a way that they've not heard, in an easier way, in a more relatable way? So that is, when you're building a brand, when you're thinking about your superpower, the first step is think about what you want to be known for and start writing down some ideas. And it's great. You put as many as you can think of in the beginning because you're going to kind of, you're going to see what appeals and different things will appeal depending on what kind of day you're having. Next, we're going to talk just briefly about what people get wrong the most about marketing. And the thing is, as I mentioned, marketing is the message that gets people aware of you. It's your social media posts, your Facebook ads. That's the marketing. It's your content strategy as well. Branding, again, is the proof that what you say in your marketing is true. So if you are saying, I'm the best plumber in all the land, then you want testimonials, you want reviews, you want case studies on your website that demonstrate the proof of what you've done. That's what a lot of people get wrong about their marketing. They talk a little too much about what they do and not enough about the benefits to their clients. And what happens is, when people come to your website, they see your business card, they already know what you do. People already have a sense of what plumbing means in the greater context. So you are almost wasting your marketing energy, your marketing ethos by reiterating what people already know about you and your product and services. You want to spend that marketing time talking about why you're different, and in context, not just why you're different, but the solutions, the successes you have driven for your clients. I get that your plumbing broke because XYZ happened, and I helped you solve that faster than my competitor because I'm more experienced. Whatever the message is, but you need to focus in your marketing a little bit more about what your successes have been and what the client response has been. And again, considering branding is your body of evidence, then your message is, my brand statement is, I do plumbing. I'm the best plumber in the land because XYZ. Then when people come to look you up on your website or on your reviews, on your Yelp page, they see great testimonials that then back up what you have claimed in your marketing messaging. And that's where a little bit of the difference are, obviously related, but your marketing needs to spend less time telling people what they already know. We don't really need a definition of what a plumber is. We need a definition of why you're a better plumber than the guy next to you. The other thing that talking about your client successes is it humanizes your brand. And that is probably another mistake that I think a lot of people make in their marketing is they don't talk about the people that work, yourself as a business owner or your body of personnel if you work with a group of people. And so not only do you not focus on the results, what the clients are thinking about you and the successes you've done for your clients, but they're also not talking about the people that are going to come out and mow your lawn and do your services and provide your project management. And the maxim it goes that people do business with people. We don't do business with businesses. So one person can absolutely ruin a business experience, but one person's personal story can absolutely help your brand prove that it is very customer service focused, deadline oriented, whatever your superpower is. When you focus on the people that are doing the work, you build this connectivity with your clients that makes them far more likely to want to work with you, because now they feel like they know you. And when they feel like they know you, they feel like they trust you. So give them something. You can give them something personal as well, but give them something that makes them trust you, that makes them feel connected to you. So when you show up at their door as a plumber or car repair person or whatever, you know a little bit about them. You can have a conversation. We are far less likely to be concerned that someone might try to rip us off or not deliver the promised services if we feel like we have a sense that we know who those people are. So when you're starting to build your marketing messaging, whatever that is, if it's your Craigslist ad, if it's your case studies, if it's your white papers, if it's your ads on Facebook, ads on LinkedIn, you want to start building some of that personal connectivity into your advertising. It's not just about what I offer, and not just why you should download my products, e-products. It's I am going to help you because I understand you, and put some of the successes, the testimonials into your marketing messaging, no matter what you do. I will help you. I understand the needs of your, if you drive a foreign auto and then your car guy is a specialist in that particular Japanese, French, German autos, that gives you a little bit more of a feeling of that person gets me and he understands me. And I want to put that you want to put that into your marketing messaging. I work with visionary businesses. What do I mean by that? I just really mean that people have a vision of growing their business. A lot of my clients tend to be on the cusp of, they're either at a certain point in their business strategy and now they're looking to elevate that to the next level. I also work with some nonprofits who are, in this day and age, nonprofit funding is no longer a de facto thing. A lot of governments are starting to reassess how much their commitment to arts and nonprofit funding is. So if nonprofits are looking to elevate their vision, almost every single entrepreneur is a visionary in some way. They started their business because they want to make the world a better place. They want to, even authors, I want to write a better book than the other guy. Even entrepreneurs, I want to do marketing better. I want to make it more easy to understand. So that, there are a few entrepreneurs that are literally out there just to make money, and they're going to tell you what you need to hear to, make the sale. Maybe if that's what you're in business for, I'm all for it. It's just not, I'm not going to be able to help you as much as the people who really are like, I want to do things better. I want to take myself to the next level. So that's what I define as a visionary business. So if you are asking, am I a visionary business? Yes, you are. I promise you. And the main question you want to ask yourself is, why does my work matter? And it's not so much, why does it matter to me? Why does it matter to my clients? Why does it matter to the people that work with me? And if it matters to those people, that's the basis of your vision. And that is, your vision is then in turn the basis, the foundation of your brand statement, your superpower. And that's one of the reasons why we love superheroes, because they're passionate about making the world a better place. Or they may not be passionate about it. I mean, if you're a fan of the Hero series like I am, they weren't necessarily passionate about it. They were reluctantly drawn in, but in the end, they were still making the world a better place. And that is really what your brand is about. This is going to be how things will be better when you work with me. And then you're going to build a brand strategy and a following and a passionate, group of people that believe in that vision and want to join you for the ride. They want to hop on your rocket. All right. So you need a USP, a unique selling proposition. Whether or not you choose to build a brand, you need a unique selling proposition. You need something that differentiates you from your competitors. You need something that people can understand. You need something that people can repeat, right? If you are going to ask for people to recommend you, you want people to have that charming little statement that they can say, so people start to get to know you through that repetitive conversation. And by providing your clients, your customers, even the people who follow you, that brand statement, that USP, if it's relatable, and I like to use catchphrase, although it's not always the right thing, but if it feels relatable and stateable, people will start to use that on your behalf. And that is one of the best ways you can grow your business, right? Like if you have people that believe your catchphrase and say it on your behalf, you're getting that free testimonial that you really need, and that helps you have people say, yeah, this is a great business. You should follow it. You should do work with it because I did, and they lived up to that catchphrase. They lived up to that USP. So ideally, your USP is going to do three things. It's going to define what you do. That's not always the case. Specifically, if you have a whole lot of money and you can build $1 million, $1 billion, $1 jillion ad campaign like Nike, Just Do It does not specifically say what Nike does. But Nike has had the benefit of years of having this brand statement. People know what it means. They have the dollars and the emphasis to put behind it. In your case, that may be as a younger business or younger, newer to branding, you might want to be clear about what it is that you do. So number one, you want to be clear about what it is you do. Number two, it's going to differentiate you. I do this and I do it better. So you might start with, I am an expert at Facebook ads. It talks about what you do. I'm an expert. It's a good starting point, but then you want some proof as to why you're an expert. And then thirdly, you want to humanize your brand. And sometimes the proof comes into the third step, comes into the humanizing of your brand, and the proof are one and the same thing. So I'm an expert at Facebook ads because I have served these XYZ companies. And that may not be, it's not a great brand statement, but it starts to be the formation of that, helping you stand out, helping people know what you do, helping people recognize you. And in the larger context, what you really want to think about is that bat signal, right? When bat signal goes over Gotham City, everybody knows Batman is needed. Is needed now. We need help. Get here. And no one else answers the bat signal. That is for Batman, right? And that is what your brand statement is. It's your bat signal. What is the thing that people are going to say? They're going to flash in the sky, and everyone in the land is going to know, oh yeah, you should call Bob because he does this thing. I know that he can respond to that. So when people are on social media or they're talking to friends, do you know anyone who does XYZ? Yep. Bat signal Bob is up there, and I'm going to tell you all about why. And when you then have a brand statement, you can provide your fans with some basic language, your USP, your brand statement, so that they can advocate on your behalf. So think of your brand statement as your bat signal. I mean, it's just going to be, when it flips up, people are going to come to you. So to give you an example of the bat signal at work, let's say that I reached out and asked the internet verse, I need help with my paper clutter. I am overwhelmed with paper clutter. Could someone please tell me who to contact? Well, Marie Kondo, she's an organizational expert. Karen Kingston, Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui, if you're not familiar with her book, amazing. So they have their bat signal. Now they have slightly different signals. Marie Kondo has her own system. Karen Kingston relies a little more on Feng Shui, or her first book did anyway, on Feng Shui. So they're all going to be different, but that is the point of having a brand. So when someone says, I need my car fixed, that you don't then have your friends go, well, I think Bob does it, but maybe he's a plumber. I don't know. Maybe he's an electrician. I know he does a lot of stuff. Contact Bob. Maybe he can help you. You want one to be known for that thing that then everybody can advocate on your behalf and shoot out the love and shoot out the goodwill and the referrals on your behalf. That signal works two ways too, right? It's not just, hey, I need someone who can do my eyewear. It's also take, for example, Warby Parker, right? It's also similar to Tom's, a one-to-one model where they donate eyeglasses. So you're not probably going to say, hey, I need eyeglasses, but they're going to donate to other people when I get them. But you're going to always know that Warby Parker is a brand that does good. And so when you need eyeglasses and 3 or 4 competitors crop up, iWorld and all the others, well, okay, but Warby Parker does great work. So they may not be their donating of glasses may not be the first thing that comes to mind. You may not be the thing you're seeking, but that message of bettering that human message, that human connection, that's going to be a deciding factor, a differentiator that says, yeah, I'm going to use Warby Parker instead of all the other competitors that are available to me. So that, the bat signal works in 2 ways. Not only is it something you're known for, giving away glasses, but it's also something people will know you for and will refer you for. So you want to make sure that has the dual element of being known for something, being something that's repeatable, easily digestible, but also then differentiates you from everybody else. So when you're defining your unique selling proposition, this is really critical. What do you want to be known for? You could say, I want to be known for great customer service with my providing Facebook ads. And that might be enough if you have a very small core audience. but there are a lot of people out there competing on that arena. So why do you do Facebook ads differently or better? Even better is better than everybody else. And that is where you want to start thinking about your USP from that perspective is how do you do something better? That thing you want to be known for, why is it better? Why are you more expert, more fast, more valuable, whatever the superlative is. So spend a little time thinking about what it is, not just what you do, what you excel at, but what do you want to be known for, either in context of that thing or related, or at least related to that thing. Next, what is a superpower? I know this is a very popular question with human resource professionals. A lot of people get asked that, what is your superpower? And then a lot of people kind of end up wasting that question. Like, I have great people skills, or I meet all deadlines. Like, it's a superpower, right? It's extraterrestrial. It's extraordinary. It's fantastic. It's beyond the norm. So when you're talking about your superpower, either in response to a human resource interview or in response to your brand, it has to be more than the same thing 19 other people said before you. So this episode is not about human resources and interviews and what do you want to be known for and better tips, although certainly is related. Down below, I have put a link to 17 superpowers that you might consider. And then if you're looking for help answering that HR question, you can use that document to help you plan in advance for your interview. Also, obviously what you want to be known for, your superpower, that thing that makes you extra special, extraordinary, is also the basis of your brand. And eventually, as you're interviewing for jobs, maybe one day you want to become an entrepreneur. And that thing that you are known for is going to be the thing then that carries you onto your entrepreneurship. Now, that doesn't mean it shouldn't be related to the job. You also want to be known for something that helps people. That is your other superpower. My mom is the most amazing penny finder. She finds pennies everywhere. Like, she is clued in, and she has stacks of pennies she's collected. That, unless she's very specific skill set for that particular skill. There's very limited job opportunities for amazing penny finder superpower. So when you're talking about your superpower in context of your human resource interviews or in context of your business brand, you also want to make it related to something that's going to help the clients you're working with. Penny finder, not so much. Let's find another superpower that you are going to be good at. So again, it's that bat signal, right? What are you known for? Well, what causes you to respond when the bat signal goes up? What causes people to recommend you when the bat signal comes up? You don't really, I like the idea of superpower because it does suggest that extraterrestrial thing, but you don't really have to use superpower as a context. You can look at competitors, you can look at internet influencers, you can look at authors, just kind of take a look around, poke at various people's profiles to see what they're known for. And when you start paying attention to it, you'll start to see the people who are like, I just do this and I just do that, versus the people who are like, yeah, I'm going to rock your world because of this power that I have. And so start thinking about, when you start looking at people's bios, I spend a lot of time diving into bios and but when you start thinking about the bios and looking at other people, it's like, yeah, I get that you do Facebook ads. I don't know why I'm picking on Facebook ads. I get that you do LinkedIn content, but I don't get why you are going to transform me, why you're going to be different or better or more unique than the guy sitting to the right of you. So one of the reasons that, building your USP in context of a superhero is it takes a little bit of pressure off of you, right? It gets kind of difficult to talk about our own merits and our own selves in this glowing form. So when you look at the superheroes you're following, is it Superman leaping over tall buildings and scooping up pretty women and flying them out of danger? Is it the intuition of a Spider-Man? Is it the holding breath underwater, like you have long endurance of an Aquaman? That helps you identify why is that an affinity for you? Why do you feel that trait is important? Why do you like that trait? And is that then that thing that you like, is that also then relevant to the way you do business? And it helps you not have to define yourself as a superhero. You just define what you like in others and see if that is relative to who you are as a business person. So that might be, again, Marie Kondo, right? I like her ability to simplify. That to me is Marie Kondo's superpower above all else. It's really that, like, edit things down. She does it with a certain amount of humanity, knowing that everybody's going to have that junk drawer, but everything else is getting simplified. And if you don't have a place for it, if you don't have a need for it, and that is her superpower, is she teaches other people how to simplify, how to think about simplifying. So kind of, again, pay attention to the people that inspire you and think about why they inspire you and how that might relate to how you're going to inspire others. All right, we're about halfway through the episode, so thank you for sticking with me so far. If you're still here, I'd love if you could like this video and follow me on YouTube. That would be amazing. And also, there's a link to my website. If you sign up for the newsletter, you will get updates on when the next episodes are launching, as well as other valuable tools and tips on building your brand and the art of making a little noise. That's what we want to do. That's why we want a superpower, so we can go out and talk about it. Most important thing when you're building a business and building a brand is not the most important thing, but a very important thing is notice what you notice. Your brain is telling you things for a reason. And you've heard this example a million times, but when you are thinking about buying that cool red car, and then all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere, your brain is like, ooh, red car, love the red car. And that is also happening with the superpowers you notice, the influencers you pay attention to, like what is not what they do, but how they inspire you, how they make you feel, how they transform you. And are those lessons of the things you notice, things you can then use to transform and inspire others. So my big takeaway here is notice what you notice. Spend the day listening to what your brain is telling you, what it's sensing, what it's seeing, and think about the people that you follow and why you like them. And not just because, oh, that person makes a lot of money, or just because that person, but there's a lot of people telling you how to make a lot of money. Why do you like one person over another? You trust them. You believe them. They make it easy for you to understand. Whatever those things are, the reason that you are noticing them is probably something that's important to you. And that's you're going to be, again, another part, the basis of your brand, the basis of your brand statement. So action item, keep a notebook or an online tool to just pay attention to the things that are perking your brain up in any given moment. I like to use the Notion software. It's a project management software. It's a free tool. I'll put a link below for that as well. And I just think that the Notion tool is great because you can just on your phone take notes of whatever is inspiring you in the moment and come back at the end of the day and kind of try to categorize that into why you noticed it. And is that relevant? Does that align with what I want my business and my brand to be known for? So when you're building your brand statement, you want to bring people into the conversation. How can you help them? So the thing to start with is all human beings, we want 4 things, basically. Number 1, most importantly, we want more time. Time is limited. It's a non-renewable resource. Once it is gone, it is gone. So we want to figure out how to maximize the time we have available to us. And I will say from personal experience, the older you get, the more you recognize how much less time you have left, and you want to maximize that time even more so than when you're a little bit younger and your time is like, ooh, I have lots of time to make these things happen. So human need number 1 is time. Human need number 2 is money. And really, money is basically a byproduct of time, right? Like we want the money now so we can do more of the stuff, so we have maximizing our time. But money is very much a human need. I mean, if you talk about how you can help someone make more money, that is a very tangible result. Number 3 is health. And again, a little bit of a byproduct of money, a little bit of a byproduct of time, but we want to maximize the health. We want to be fitter. We want to eat healthier. We want to learn how to live better. And again, maximize that time that we have left on the planet and make it the best we can make it. And if you don't believe me, just look at all the drug company ads that are doing very, very well with their ad campaigns. Health is number 3. And then I'd say, and I know we're going to get all kinds of comments, and feel free if you did comment, if you disagree with me, number 4 is the human need to explore. Again, a byproduct of the other things, but we are, as a human society, we want to see what's out there. We want to travel. We want to meet cultures. We want to see what happens if we tinker with a program, with a software, and we make it better or differently. So the need to explore encapsulates that need for growth, that need for advancement. If you're a fan of The West Wing, I know, oldie but goodie, Sam Seaborn has a quote in there where he's asked to justify why the space program is so important. And he said, because it's what's next. Exploring the galaxies is what's next. And that's true. I mean, what is next in a human trajectory is that need to explore. Am I going to do a new business? Am I going to have more family members? Am I going to explore the possibilities? So those are the four things: four things: time, money, health, exploration. And when you can tap into a brand that transforms humans using one of those four elements, and it can be secondary to that. I mean, certainly if you sell pens, I'm going to explore how this pen works better than that pen. Maybe this pen bleeds and this pen doesn't bleed. But the four key human needs should try to be a part of your brand so that you can figure out how you are helping humans meet one of their four main goals. Every other need, there are certainly other human needs, but every other one is a subset of those four needs. So you're going to, if you want to eat out, eating out might be a function of more time. I'm in a rush. I don't want to cook. It might be a function of saving money. I'm feeding my family of four and so is having a special. Might be a function of exploration, right? Like, ooh, I heard there's this new restaurant and they offer this all new take on pizza or tacos. So I'm going to explore. And so you can certainly, you don't have to talk about the four elements, but try to incorporate in your brand this idea that you want your brand is helping people explore these four needs that we're hardwired to care about. They're important to humanity. And so how can your brand help address that in its statement, in its transformative power? So Nike, for example, is a great example of that. Just do it, right? You are inspiring people to be healthier, for one, right? You're getting up, doing it, but you're maximizing the time. You're getting up, you're being healthier with the time you have now. You're being motivated. You're not putting things off. You're getting up, you're just doing it. Stop thinking and moving along there, buddy. The other thing that Just Do It shows us is that very often your brand is not about your products and services. It's about the transformation that your products and services will bring to others. It's about motivation. It's about getting up. It's about being active. It's about being healthy. So when you're building your USP, your brand statement, your superpower, it is not just about what you bring to the conversation, but it's about how you transform clients from A to B. How do you give them more time? How do you give them more money or save them money? How do you get them healthier? How do you get them to explore things that they didn't know before, that they want to learn? So you want to make sure that your brand statement, above all, brings that human concept of transformation, not your transformation, but your client's transformation. How are you going to make them better through your brand? And again, talking about the brand statement, that's your overarching message. So not every marketing message is necessarily going to be about the brand statement, but the more you align your brand statement with your marketing messaging, the more you're sort of going to build this cohesive, memorable messaging that starts to resonate with people, so they know that you're going to be that person that's known for bringing about that transformation. It's about motivating others to do a thing. And that's why your voice is so important. And in my humble opinion, your brand it's far more important for you to have a strong voice than a strong logo, because your voice, a person's voice, what they say, that's what transforms people more so than the logo that represents that transformation. You might see a logo and be reminded of it, but your words, your power behind your words, power behind your voice, that's going to be what motivates people to take the step A to step B, make life better, make things different, make your experiences richer. And that is where your brand statement really should start to have a connection to the client. So I help clients be better marketers. That's not bad. I mean, it's a little bit of a transformation because it's going from bad marketer to better marketer. But it's if I help clients, understand their audience so they can create more impactful marketing messages, that's a stronger brand, because you're not just taking them from point A and point B in their marketing journey and really providing no evidence or proof as to how you're going to do it. But when you're talking about, I'll teach you how to understand your audience. Now you're putting some some heft into your words, putting some heft into your brand statement that really is going to be like, oh yeah, that is what I need. I really don't understand the audience I'm marketing to. So your brand is about motivation. It's about motivating people to take step A to step B. And the more you can tap into what that motivation is, when you're tapping into those 4 things that humans want, they want more time, more money, more health, more opportunities to explore, then you are bringing people into, you're motivating people into not only working with you, but then if you're looking to build a following on social media, or you're looking to build a following on a podcast or on YouTube or wherever else you'd like a following, if you're building a membership community, if you're a nonprofit looking for a following, for sure you want to talk about the motivation of your brand. I'm motivating people to go from this 0 state to this 100% state, and I am doing it by doing this. And that is where the beauty of a brand statement comes in. It's where the magic happens, because you're starting to bring people along for the ride. And then if they get so impassioned and empowered, they're going to bring others into the conversation. And those people are going to want to come along for the ride too. So they're going to, to borrow my own brand, they're going to hop on your rocket and they're going to jump along for the ride. So that's where you want to start building this. You want to work on your voice. You want to build your voice so that your voice brings people into the conversation so they can understand how you are fulfilling the brand statement that you have promised up front. All right, now we're circling back to your bat signal, right? We've been talking about what makes you extraordinary, why it's important to communicate that so you can bring people along for the journey, and how you're going to tell people that the thing that makes you extraordinary is also going to make them extraordinary. And we're going to pull all that together in a great brand statement that is going to be your bat signal. So Gotham City mayors, flipping up your bat signal. So let's start thinking about those things. It could be empathy. It could be communication. It could be timeliness. It could be understanding. It could be sales. I have a client and their brand statement is they always answer the telephone. Like, that seems kind of crazy. Like, I resisted it for a while. Turns out none of their competitors do that. And so when people need to reach them on the phone, they are there. And what a great brand statement, right? Like, we get how many times we don't even know where the phone number is, let alone being able to get a human voice on the other end. And so they're transforming lives because they're ready to do it. They're like, yeah, you have a request? Bring it on. We're ready. We'll pick up the phone and talk to you about that. So what is that bat signal thing that is going to be your transformative power that you love to do and that you're going to help other people love to do, and you're going to bring everybody along on that bat signal journey so people know, yep, that's the person we need to talk to for this thing. Your superpower, it can be a real superpower. I mean, you can align, as I mentioned, notice what you notice. So if jumping over a tall building appeals to you, if the Hulk raging out appeals to you, then pay attention to that. And so your superpower can be a real superpower. I mean, I mentioned that before. Pay attention to what you notice, jumping over a tall building, hulking out with rage when an injustice has been made. So those could be your superpowers, but it could be something that's as simple as empathy, or it could be something as simple as perception or understanding or connectivity or networking. I mean, there's so many different verbs that you could use as your superpower, but just start to think about that thing that really is, that people always kind of comment and talk about, like, oh yeah, that person is known for that. This also brings me to one of the very first lessons I learned in business. I worked for a tourism company and it was brand new. This was very, very many years ago. It was kind of just as computers were starting to be a thing. They were not on every desk in my company. And people would always come over to my computer and write their resumes and use it. And so I was like, I just was appalled by how horrible the paper filing system was at my company. So whenever my computer got bogarted by someone, I would go in the back and file things. Like, I wanted to be the person who organized everything. And my boss pulled me aside and she said, what are you doing? I was like, well, I really want this system to be organized so everybody just knows how amazing I am. It's like, don't be good at things you don't want to do. If you would like to be a file clerk, by all means, be a file clerk. But if you don't want to be a file clerk, why are you being good at that? And that is, just because it's something you see the importance of doesn't mean you have to be the one solving that problem. So if there's one thing that I could recommend above all else is, don't make your superpower about something you don't like doing. And if you're not great at taking customer calls, don't make your superpower be about customer service. If you're if you're a writer and you're not necessarily great at deadlines, don't make your superpower be about deadlines. You can make I get your audience, I get what you need, I'm quick at this, but don't make things be your superpower if you know you're not going to deliver on that. So don't be good at things you don't want to do. And that whether you're doing human resource interviews or whether you're doing branding, don't talk just because you are good at that doesn't mean that it has to be part of your superpower. It doesn't have to be part of your brand message. Just don't avoid branding yourself as a super cool file clerk if file clerk is not what you want your future to hold. On the other hand, we're also going to talk a little bit about imposter syndrome. And oftentimes when you build a brand statement, you have to build one that's believable. You have to believe in it. You have to be able to say it in public and not stumble over it. And if you can't do that, people aren't going to believe you when you tell them, I am great at this. So I'm not going to talk too much about imposter syndrome in this particular video, but you want to watch out for imposter syndrome because everybody experiences it at some point or another. There's a great story about a networking event where Neil Armstrong, the astronaut, was at the event and he was talking to another man named Neil. And Neil Armstrong was like, oh, wow, oh, look at all these visionaries. I can't believe they invited me here. All I did was go where people sent me. And so even Neil Armstrong had this moment of sort of imposter syndrome. Do I really belong in this place? And it's going to happen for everyone at some point or another because the point of branding is, growth, right? You're building an audience and sometimes you're going to shoot a little bit above your weight category. So it's going to happen. And so I would say the best antidote to imposter syndrome is activity. And don't overpromise things that you don't believe you can do. Don't overpromise things you absolutely cannot do. But if you have fairly certainty in your background that you're going to be able to accomplish these things, then build that into your brand, but then make sure that you're doing that activity very, very quickly so that when people come to you and say, can you do this? And you say, yes, it's not a blatant out and out lie. It's just a mechanism of your growth rather than a full on falsehood because you don't want to tell lies and there's plenty for you to brand yourself on that you are good at. You don't need to go out there and, pull a Pinocchio in your branding messaging. So don't worry too much. The best antidote for imposter syndrome is just keep growing, just keep learning and not learning, reading posts and e-newsletters, but learning by doing. If I want to be better at this activity, I am going to maybe offer other people the opportunity to work with you for a discounted rate because in return, you want to be known for XYZ and you'd like a little more experience in that area. So just learn by doing and let imposter syndrome know it's going to happen and just, kind of get beyond it by doing activity that takes you to that transforms your own self so you can transform others on that pathway. The other thing you're going to hear a lot about on the internet is authenticity. I'm not sure if we've had this rash of inauthentic messaging. I know one of my friends had said they thought the difference between authenticity and the opposite of authenticity is corporate speak. People don't want to hear corporate speak. And I don't disagree. We're kind of tired of hearing empty corporate promises. But I think really the authenticity comes from believing in yourself and telling the stories of others that have benefited. Again, why does it matter? And that's where your authenticity is going to come from. Yes, I helped others get clarity by doing this, or I helped others gain perspective or gain sales or gain whatever the measurable results are that you provided. So believing in your own abilities and providing that proof, that to me is the best form of authenticity. And really at the core, the point is believe it. When you say something, believe that you can do it. Mean it and believe it. You're not lying. You are actually going to get people from A to B, and you know that you can do it because you've done it before. You can do it for the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. And that's really going to be the core of a great brand is your own self-belief in your ability to take someone from here to there. That's going to shine through. That message is going to be impactful and it's going to be believed because you believe in it yourself. And that's where you're going to start bringing others along for that ride. The best way is to start from two places. I am an expert, or if you don't feel you're ready to say I'm an expert, I help people. One of those two things, start that message from there, then incorporate your client type. I help entrepreneurs. I help programmers. I help quilters. I help cat lovers, whatever the client is, and then whatever I'm an expert in helping, I'm an expert in showing cat lovers how to do this. I help people do that. So start your brand statement from those two things and then kind of figure out the transformation for your audience from there. But if you're struggling, it's better to have a brand statement that's maybe a little bit more mellow than the one that's completely unique and creative to start, because you want to get people knowing you and talking about you for a thing. So rather than put it off, tweak it, change it, that happens. And especially in the beginning of your career trajectory, the more you start to learn and know, the more you kind of test and figure out what people are looking for, the more you're going to refine it. So don't put off building a brand statement. Start with I help, or I am an expert in, and go from there. And then keep doing the exercises, noticing what you notice, paying attention to superpowers, and you can build your brand statement from there. All right, I'm going to give you an example from my own self. I started my own company about 2 years ago. This was the second time. I had also had my own company a few years back, and then I got lured by salary and benefits. So I left entrepreneurship, and now I have come back to it. And this time around, I think one of my problems was I knew more and there were more things available to us. When I did my first company, there wasn't even WordPress. I programmed my own software because back then I was the person who needed to do everything for everyone, including myself, and I couldn't ever delegate anything. And in fairness, there were less tools to help you do that. Now I'm very laser focused on what I do, but even this past 2 years has been a journey for me to pay attention to what is my brand statement, what do I want to be known for. And I just didn't want to be another voice that's out there talking about marketing and branding and newsletters. And, there's nothing wrong with that. Those things are important, and I will mention those through my trajectory. But for me, I wanted to sound a little different. And then I was like, oh, wow, sound is really important to me. A lot of what I do is about music, and a lot of what I do is help people find their voice. So it was a process for me to figure out what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be known for. So I turned to a superhero, my favorite, Wonder Woman. The bullet repelling bracelets was really a key for me. But then it turned out that really the thing that Wonder Woman offers is that lasso of truth. For me, that has become the lasso of clarity. Like when people work with me, they come in thinking and feeling and believing one thing. They've either done a course or they've taken a path or they've read a book, and they're like, I see how it applies, but I kind of don't get. And so when they come to me, it's like, okay, let's put all that aside. Talk to me. Tell me what you're struggling with, and let's figure out if we can find a path that's uniquely yours. So that was kind of the inkling. I didn't figure out the whole brand just from that. But then I did an exercise. I had a mentor at the time who gave me an exercise to ask all my previous clients for testimonials. And I had some, and I gathered new ones. And really the one word that came clear through every single testimonial, whether I was doing writing, a business plan, marketing, Facebook, whatever I was doing for that client, was that I helped people gain clarity on what their goals were. I helped them gain clarity on what they wanted the next step and the step down into the future was, because you can't build a plan. You can't build a successful business unless you have a plan to get there. So clarity, clarity, clarity. And then of course I was like, ooh, Wonder Woman, lasso of clarity. So that was how I came about my own, and it took a while. I'm still kind of figuring all the things out, putting all the chess pieces on the chessboard correctly. But even though it's been difficult for me to help myself figure that out, I've been able to help others do it. And so I would recommend, if you're stuck on finding your own clarity, a very great place to start is go back to your clients and ask them what you did for them. Don't ask them about the work and what you think you did. I created Facebook ads. I helped them, increase their revenue by 10%, whatever the numbers are. That might not be what they thought you did. They might say they were very patient, or they understood data and really helped me understand the data behind my report. So don't feed them the answers, ask them for the answers. And you're going to start to see some themes come up that people over and over will say, oh yeah, you did this, you did that. I love that. And again, with my client who answered the phone on the first call, all their clients would comment like on the reviews that we collected. All the clients were like, I love that I could call them right away with a problem and we would get that solved quickly. And that became the essence of their superpower, because that is what their clients want and that's what their clients love. So if you're stuck and the superpower thing isn't working for you, and the USP and the transformation, go to your clients and ask them, and go colleagues, former colleagues, current colleagues, what have I done for you? What do you like about working with me? And start to see if some themes come through. And that is really going to help you also identify where your superpower, your brand statement, your transformation is going to be in the middle of all of that. Finally, most important of all, and this is going to be the one that most of you hate, because I can tell you from the hundreds of clients I've worked with, they all hate it, is network in person. And I know it's painful, and I know it's terrible, and who wants to get rejected and have people say, oh, I don't get you, or I don't understand what you're talking about, or that doesn't sound appealing. But it is different to write down a brand statement in a notebook than it is to say it out loud. And when you say it out loud, you will get a sense for yourself and others what's working and what doesn't work. And I'm going to give you another example. When I first started my business 2 years ago, I really wanted to be known for audience development. I believe passionately what happens is people, when they talk about their voice, and really it was the beginning for me of audience development, was really the beginning of helping people find their voice. Because what happens is you build this business and you have this one size fits all message. And then you're talking to, let's say you're a parent, right? And you have one message, and it's good for parents. It's good for other teachers. It's good for students. It's good for the administrators. And now you're not really effectively communicating with any of your audience because you're not customizing. If you're using very high level math terms for the kids, they don't know what you're talking about. Maybe most of the parents don't know what you're talking about. If you're trying to convince the administrators of something, you have to use a different language than you're using with the kids or the parents. And so I was very focused on, I really wanted to focus on audience development, which really, is, as I said, it was voice, like finding a voice and understanding that your voice may change depending on who you talk to. But I would go to networking meetings. I belonged to the local Chamber of Commerce and the local Hispano Chamber of Commerce here in Albuquerque. And I'd be like, I do audience development. And people are like, I don't know what that means. Have a nice day. And it didn't have any relevance to them. And I was like, well, what service am I offering, and how is it that they're, and so it was very clarifying to me that my messaging wasn't clear enough to the people I was talking about. That was on me, that they didn't get what I meant by audience development. So back to the drawing board, I have gone back to the drawing board very many times. And I know it can be painful to hear people don't get you. And then you might get defensive. Well, what I really meant was this. And like, they're taking their time. They're offering their opinion. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And sometimes they're not even offering opinion. The fact that their eyes wander, you've already told that they don't resonate with what you're offering. And it is very different when you send an email to someone and say, I do this, than when you talk to them in person. You get that power of one-on-one communication. So when you're building a brand, talk to people, real human people. Talk to a stranger in line at Starbucks, not creepy, but just, hey, how are you? Can I ask you something? Go to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, attend Zoom mastermind meetings that are available through various groups that you belong to. Get a mentor. If you are not already having a mentor, SCORE, I scored. The Service Corps of Retired Executives.org, SCORE.org, offers free mentors for anyone in the U.S. that's growing or starting or growing a small business. So you definitely can take advantage of that. The Small Business Administration, sometimes your local universities offer mentors. So if you don't want to test your message in a big group, like a Chamber of Commerce meeting, that's okay. But talk to two types of people. The people who know you, your mom may say, oh, honey, that's amazing. And then that may not be amazing. So you don't just want to talk to people also talk to strangers. And you're like, I'm not selling you anything. What does this mean to you, or how does it feel? And you can feel the energy when someone says, oh, wow, that's great. I was just thinking I needed that. Or, okay, I got to go talk to that other guy and I'm out because I don't know what you are talking about. And I think you're trying to sell me something and I'm not into it. So above all, take your message on the road and share it and test it. Market it to real, live, one-on-one human beings, preferably in person, preferably to strangers and friends. But if you really, really can't take that hurdle of doing it in person, get on some Zoom masterminds where you can talk to people one-on-one and see how they respond to the things that you're doing. Because it's just, nothing is going to be more effective than bringing your message to a real life person. Because nothing is going to be more valuable than sharing your message with a real life human being and seeing how they respond to that message. I promise you. The other thing is, I know a lot of people are out there, like entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, are like, they think they're going to just launch this digital product and it's just going to sell gangbusters. But if you can't convince someone one-on-one of the value of that digital product, you're not going to be able to motivate masses of sales. So it really is, it is painful to have people reject you or not understand you in person, but it is far better to test that on one person before you spend tons and tons of money and effort and energy building things that people don't get or don't want or don't need. So take your brand message and test it out with people. What does this mean to you? Does that motivate you? Does it inspire you? Do you know anyone who might be that I could talk to about this, who either might be interested in my services or who might be interested in that message? And it will help me clarify that. So I can't recommend it enough. I know it's painful, but do it anyway. And finally, when you're building, this is the last part we're going to talk about on your brand statement, is don't use adjectives or cliches unless absolutely necessary. The point of your brand statement is to differentiate. If you start using cliches, you are going to sound like everyone else. You are not going to sound like your own voice, and that is going to kill your brand. So what is a cliche? A cliche is anything anyone has already heard. So that is pretty dramatic. If you're like borrowing something you like and it's brand new, maybe you can get away with it, but I'll give you some examples. Everyone's talking about authentic. If you start talking about authentic, you just sound like all the other guys that are talking about authentic. You don't sound like you're a pioneer in this area. Holistic. Oh my goodness. I can't tell you how many people tell me they have holistic solutions to my problems. It just is. That's really kind of a cliche and an adjective. Green, farm to table, all these things that people are saying over and over. You are not differentiating yourself if you're using that same expression that everyone else is using. So you can offer the same service, you can offer the same transformation, but you have to put it in a way that differentiates you. And it's not enough to just talk about your own personal transformative journey. You have to find a way to say things that make you sound like you're different. So cliches, don't say what everybody else is saying. Adjectives, oh boy, I can't tell you how quickly bad adjectives are going to kill your brand. And I'm not going to talk about that too much in this video, but there are adjectives that are specific. The sky is blue sky. Obviously, a blue sky is a different thing from red sky, and people understand the difference between that. For the most part, when you use an adjective, you are actually just trying to say something else, but shorten it. So I'll give you an example. I help many clients. You may think helping many clients is the coolest thing in all the land, and you're just saying, I helped 5 people, when your guy who's trying to learn about you is like, wow, 1,000 people, awesome. Many does not mean it does not mean the same thing to everyone. So stop using, if you are trying to talk about your volume, your number of clients, either be specific, I did help this many people do this number of things, or don't bring it up. If you're not competitive in that area, don't bring it up. But don't say many and think that that is going to be an impressive alternative to saying, I help 1,000 people. It's going to be almost every adjective you can think of. I do holistic marketing. What you're trying to say when you say I do holistic marketing is I do a top to bottom analysis, top to bottom. I look at the whole thing. And you're trying to say, but my competitors don't do that. But you're not, it doesn't mean that to the person who's talking to you. Holistic means nothing to them because they don't know specific. So if you're trying to say, I am better than my competitor because, then tell the people why you're better than the competitor. My audience profiles go deeper than anyone else. I use more data, more layered data, but I use public and private data that only I have access to. Be specific about why your holistic solutions are better than the next guy, and don't use the term holistic. It doesn't impress anyone. All they'll do is gloss over your holistic solutions and move on to the next guy. Their eyes are going to glaze over. So just when you're using an adjective, be very, very careful that you are not using something that really you're trying to say one thing, but you're trying to sort of hide that or throw shade at your competitors. Don't do it. Don't use an adjective that doesn't mean anything. If you must use adjectives, a number, a specific color, a specific action or result. But other than that, try to avoid cliche, try to avoid your adjectives and avoid your cliches, and use something that's a little bit different in terms of expressing the transformation that you're making. You want to clearly articulate what makes you special, what makes you the only choice that people can work with. And when you start talking like everybody else on the block, you're not the only choice. You are just one of many people saying authentic, green, farm to table, excellent, amazing, super, superior, trusted. We could just go on about all the adjectives I hate in marketing and branding. You're going to be the trailblazer of your brand. And you cannot be a trailblazer if you sound like every other person out there. So if you're struggling with that, and here's one way. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it, 1 second about AI. And I love AI. I use it probably every single day, not for my writing, but brainstorming ideas. But AI by default is a system that takes all the collective knowledge and it creates an aggregate, an average of all that collective knowledge. That is an amazing tool to use for idea sharing, outlining. I'm sorry, not idea sharing, idea generating, idea outlining, building a structure for what you want to say. It is not a good tool for creating language that separates you from everyone else, because it by default averages all the language it has in its system. It also doesn't really do emotion and sentiment very well. So you can absolutely use AI for idea sharing. And what do you think of this idea, AI? But you want to then make sure the language in some way or another differentiates you. It makes you stand out. It makes you be different. And I know people do things because they're following the algorithm. Your brand should not follow the algorithm. You're never going to be able to differentiate yourself just on your brand statement. Your content maybe, but on your brand statement, you need to be a differentiator. You need to be a trailblazer. You need to be in some way unique, different. Be the OG. There's my cliche for the day. Be the OG. So you want to just make sure that your language, you watch out, is very important. And that's what I do all day long. I help people find their voice. I help them edit out the language that makes them weaker, because people have already heard it everywhere else. And you now sound like the guy next door instead of being like the guy who is hopping on rockets and going to new places and taking you to your transformative space, but in a way that is relatable but different than everybody else that's talking about those same things. All right, that brings you to the end of the inaugural episode of my podcast, Hop on My Rocket, where I encourage you to come along for the ride. So to recap, we talked about your superpower and how the superpower is the basis for building a brand statement. You want a brand statement because it helps you differentiate yourself from your clients. It helps you be remembered. It helps you stand out. And to recap, your branding is 2 parts: your brand statement, building a body of evidence that supports the statement, and then the marketing messaging is the message that gets people to come to you for their services, their products, but also contains an element of the brand statement. You should come to my products because I am known for, and I will do this thing. Your brand statement should be transformative. It'll promise to take your clients from point A to point B. And that is why they want to work with you, because you understand better than anyone else from getting from this point to this point how you're going to get people there. And finally, being the original means being a little bit different, sounding a little bit different, not sounding like the next guy and the next guy. First of all, it doesn't help you stand out. And secondly, using the same language doesn't help you differentiate yourself. So you want to make people go, yeah, he gets me, and he's going to get me from here to there. He or she is going to get me from here to there. And finally, don't forget to test your brand statement with people online and in person, and get a sense for what people are thinking, how they're responding to that statement, because there's going to be nothing better. It's better to get yourself a little bit of rejection up front, but then have a stronger message overall than it's going to be to launch a whole bunch of products, courses, case studies, whatever your tool of proof is, and then have that not work because you didn't test the brand statement to begin with. Okay, that's it for me. Thanks for hopping on my rocket. All right, please like this video and follow me for more episodes, and also sign up for my newsletter, and I will keep you notified of updates on my website. I'm excited, and see you next time.